Hello and welcome to The Download from Wise Woman and Wordsmith, where insight meets inspiration. A space for creatives, dreamers and visionaries ready to spark new ideas, ignite purpose and reimagine possibilities. Here we share downloads of wisdom, stories and strategies to help you thrive in your creative journey. I'm your host, Jill Marshall. Tune in, connect and let the magic unfold.
Show you tomorrow.
Welcome back to The Download, the space where we pause, reflect and reconnect to the subtle forces shaping our lives. Today's episode is about angels. Cue Robbie Williams. Actually, no, we're not talking about the winged, harp-strumming cherubs of Renaissance paintings, but the kind of angels that show up in everyday life, quietly, unexpectedly, often powerfully. The ones who change the course of a day or even a life by appearing at just the right time. Now, some of you might be thinking, come on, are we really going there? Yes, we are, because I believe, and maybe you do too, that some of the most extraordinary encounters come disguised as ordinary moments, what we might consider just a synchronistic event, maybe more than that, a synchronistic person sent to help us. So, what is an everyday angel? They're not necessarily a divine being with a job title. It might be a stranger who gives you the courage to leave something unsafe or unsettling behind. A nurse who holds your hand just a little longer. A teacher who sees something in you when no one else does. Sometimes it's someone you only meet once. Sometimes it's someone who's been beside you all along. Carolyn Mace, spiritual teacher, medical intuitive, and no-nonsense guide through the mystic, talks about angelic interventions, not just as visitations from the other side, but as shifts in consciousness, divine alignments, a whisper from the soul that finds expression through human form. In her words, angels are not separate beings. They are forces of grace always ready to enter our lives through the people around us. So maybe the question isn't, do angels exist? It's more like, are we paying attention? Of course, the concept of angels has very ancient roots, deep, archetypal, and found in almost every spiritual tradition. In the Bible, angels show up with messages, often starting with, "Do not be afraid." Gabriel appears to Mary. Michael is a warrior angel. Raphael is the healing presence in the book of Tobit. In Islam, angels are created from light. And even outside religious texts, we hear stories, especially around moments of crisis, where people report a luminous presence, a voice that warns them, or a figure who appears and disappears without explanation. There are many stories of people who survived car crashes when they shouldn't have, pulled from the wreck by a woman in white who vanished before the paramedics arrived. Check them out on YouTube. Or the children who describe talking to shining people in hospital rooms no one else entered. Skeptics say imagination. Others say divine intervention. Maybe it's a question of both and. Imagination is one of the ways the divine gets through. I had a lovely example of everyday angels just a few weeks ago. I was driving through the city in a borrowed car, quite an old, knocked around one, but going very well for its age and so on. It also appeared to be very economical, and despite driving around for quite a while, it had a solid 3 bars, well over a quarter of a tank on the petrol gauge. I was on the way to hang out with my grandson while his folks went to a parents' evening. In one of those hard-won slots at the perfect time of the evening for everyone to be able to attend. It was peak rush hour. I slid up to the traffic lights, second in the queue to go through on the next green light, at a very major crossroads leading to and from the city and on and off the motorway. It was massively busy, an intersection that's so busy it doesn't have just one of those people who want to wash a windscreen or just hold out a bucket, but seems to have a whole shift system going on, with people jumping on and off buses, trading brushes and cloths, and spreading themselves out in some unspoken constellation across the whole area. Or sometimes it's not unspoken. Sometimes there's an altercation. These are often people on the edge, after all. But this time it was quiet, orderly, busy but bearable, and I was on time. Then, just as I braked, the car sputtered and died. Oh no. I tried it again, to no avail. checked for obvious things like gears and smoking radiators and the petrol gauge, 3 bars. The lights were about to change, and I was going to hold up the biggest interchange in the city while I revved the engine painfully and fruitlessly. There may have been some swear words. But even as the light hovered on the edge of green and the car in front started to warm up for a fast departure, a face appears at my window. It's quite a wild and hairy face, I have to say, slightly lacking in teeth. I wind the window down. "Hello, I'm Andrew," says a kindly, steady voice. "Out of petrol?" "No, I've got 3 bars. I don't know what happened." Andrew nods. "OK, put it in neutral. Laura's got you on the other side." So I look up to the passenger window, and another friendly, if gummy, face smiles in at me, gives me a thumbs up, and braces for shoving. "OK, we're going to push you right through the lights, and you'll pull into that little off-road on the left," he says, for all the world like we're delivering a baby. "Can you see it?" "Yes." A guy on the other side of the major crossing gets off his bus. "Sir, mate," calls Andrew, "could you help?" The obliging gentleman runs across the road, dodging traffic, strikes a pose at the back of the car, and suddenly the lights turn green and we're off. We sail smoothly and seamlessly across the whole junction with no stopping, no interruption whatsoever to the traffic light patterns and the many, many cars in circulation. And before I know it, I'm parked safely in a wide driveway just off the main road with enough space to house a borrowed car and a trio of friendly helpers. The guy from the bus smiles. "Out of petrol?" "No, I've got 3 bars." "OK, pop the bonnet, I'll have a check." He thinks it may be the alternator. I let my daughter know I'm stuck, frustratingly close to their house, and contact the car's owner for their AA details. Andrew and Laura and bus guy exchange notes while I call, all staying with me until they're sure that I'm sorted. Once they know the AA guy is on the way and is, miraculously, only 5 minutes away, they all shake my hand and flit away into the evening. The AA guy arrives, goes straight to the back of his van and pulls out a petrol can. 3 bars, he asks with a grin, and I nod. "Yep, you're out of petrol. Known issue with this model of car." Well, I wish I'd known that. He tops it up to 3.5 bars and agrees to meet me at the petrol station a few hundred yards away to refill his spare canister and fill the tank properly. While he does that, stationed over my car, I see my 2 first rescuers run past, now screaming obscenities at each other about who stole whose spot and or possibly their supply of something nefarious. If any of you have seen the film House Sitter with Steve Martin and Goldie Hawn, it's like the moment Goldie's parents turn out to be homeless panhandlers hired for the event. 1 minute they're mom and pop at the engagement party, the next they're screaming at each other and rooting through the trash cans. This was the same. It was a very, very surreal moment. And, you know, the other surreal moment? After all that, I arrived so much on time that I needn't even have bothered letting my family know my predicament. The whole incident had collapsed in time. Or time-slipped, if you'd like to hear more on that particular episode. It had caused no issue, no stoppage, and no lateness for hard-won appointments. It was magical and wild. And I knew then that those people were everyday angels, sent to help me in a moment of need, with such synchronicity that the world outside our wee drama didn't skip a beat. And the other funny, if not surreal moment, was when I took the car back to its owner, apologising profusely because running a tank empty of petrol can be very bad for the car. "Oh yes, 3 bars, he said. Known issue with this model of car?" Well, not to me it wasn't. Lucky for me, though, instead of 3 bars, I had 3 stars, who all appeared in a moment of need. Astonishing and lovely. And at some point, I'll find those kind people again and buy them a hot meal or whatever they need. Why? Well, I just watched Steve Carell's very funny and uplifting commencement speech at Northwestern University. He gives some cheeky examples of taking a small act of kindness and paying it forward. He also talks about treating yourself, doing something nice for you, and he calls that paying it backwards. I believe in both, but I think it's especially important to remember to pay it forward, when sometimes you could be the synchronistic person appearing at the time someone most needs help. I've certainly had moments when I felt the nudge to stay, to speak, to offer something small, a lift, a gesture, a bit of hope. One of my own paying it forward moments happened in a supermarket, when my daughter and I chanced upon a man stealing a pizza. He spotted us and made a shushing motion, but I shook my head and mouthed, "No, it's wrong." Then I took my last fiver out of my purse and I gave it to him. "If you need it, buy it," I said. And he did. We watched him at the checkout. I didn't know if he had children at home who wouldn't eat otherwise. And you know what? I didn't care. I know he looked very emotional when I handed over the cash, and I can only hope we helped a family at the moment they needed it. I never saw him again, but we've never forgotten him. You see, you don't have to glow with celestial light to be someone's angel. You just have to respond to the moment. So here's a gentle challenge. Next time you feel that subtle pull to act, to help, to comfort, to intervene in kindness, don't ignore it. Be the one who shows up. Be the calm voice, the subtle help, the yes in a world full of no. Because in this web we're all part of, someone else's miracle might be waiting in your pocket. And here's a hint. Don't film it then to share your altruism on TikTok. That really diminishes it. Do it because you should and because you can. And because you should. That's an interesting concept. There's one more layer to this, one that trips a lot of us up. Judgment. We see someone asking for money on the street and we flinch. They're going to spend it on drinks or drugs or something bad we've heard. We hear someone's story and think, but they got themselves into that mess. Why should I help? I've literally heard very well-off acquaintances state this about homeless people, and I wonder who's actually in the bigger mess when we apply our own lofty experiences and judgments to someone else's harsh reality. I'd like to see those wealthy folk contribute in bigger ways, perhaps through guaranteed income experiments, showing what happens when we offer support without judgment, like the Denver Basic Income Project in the US, which provides unconditional monthly cash payments to people experiencing homelessness. Early findings suggest participants reported greater housing stability, improved mental health, and even higher rates of job seeking and community engagement, and no higher signs of drug and drink buying. These programs are more than policy experiments. They're acts of trust. They reflect a belief that when you give people dignity, they often give it back in ways that ripple far beyond their own lives. It's removing the judgment, because judgment is the enemy of grace. Just like that, we disconnect. We withhold help. Everyday angels show up without conditions. They don't weigh your worthiness before they offer aid. They see need and they act. And now cue not Robbie Williams, the singer of Angels, but actor Robin Williams. According to his daughter Zelda, he often hired people experiencing homelessness onto his film sets and tours. No fanfare, no judgment, just opportunity. Or take Stuart Potts, a man in Manchester, where I come from originally, who was once homeless, in prison, on drugs himself. He now opens his small flattened caravan to others still on the street, despite having almost nothing to spare. He says, "I just know how it feels." Judgment sees flaws. Compassion sees pain. There's also real data behind the science of compassion after struggle. Studies show that people who've experienced hardship are more likely to help others. One study published in Emotion found that people who'd gone through adversity felt higher empathy and donated more. Another showed they were less likely to shut down compassion when faced with overwhelming need. Their past pain actually kept their heart open. Some researchers found that guilt from personal struggles can lead to sustained acts of kindness. And we've all seen this after natural disasters. Communities often form what are called altruistic neighbourhoods, where people step up with food, shelter and comfort, not out of obligation, but out of connection. So if you've ever wondered why the people who've suffered most often give the most, there's your answer. They remember what it's like to be the one in need, and they decide to be the one who shows up. I'm not surprised that Andrew and Laura showed up for me at that moment, and I'm also aware their lives have not been easy at all. So next time you hesitate because someone is in need, please ask yourself, what help are they asking for? Don't do that thing of assuming you know better than they do what will help. If they're asking for a particular form of help as your constellations collide, and you happen to be the person who can provide it, then just do that. Do it, send them love, and go on your way. because sometimes the most angelic thing we can do is simply respond, without commentary, without skepticism, and without delay. And here's a final reflection. Perhaps angels don't always come with halos. Maybe they wear trainers or scrubs, or sit quietly beside you at the end of a long day, just listening. And here's the real twist. Perhaps you are someone's angel already, without ever knowing it. That smile you offered, that time you stayed on the phone a bit longer. That kindness that felt small to you, but shifted something for someone else. The time you knew that a particular model of car has a glitch and helped them fill their tanks without judgy smirking. It's an old model Toyota Vitz if you're interested. You might know it as an Echo or a Yaris. And here's another bonus car glitch. Old Renault Clios have leaky sunroofs. Either never open it or seal it up if you don't want to find yourself sitting in a puddle with your accelerator foot submerged to the ankle in rainwater. There, a bit of everyday angelic info for you. And that's my final word. Today, pay attention. Be open to unexpected information. And remember, grace isn't rare, it's just subtle. As for those angels, they're everywhere. And if you've got your own angel story, seen or unseen, everyday or otherwise, I'd love to hear it. Until next time, stay open, stay present, and don't be surprised if you end up being someone's answer to a prayer. Thanks for tuning in to the Download podcast. Feel free to like, comment, and share and all of that good stuff. And for more about my books, coaching, and business services, please check out wisewomanandwordsmith.com. Also, I'd love to hear more about your own intuitive hits and downloads, so do find us on Facebook, YouTube, and more.